I have brought my dirty work boots inside because we are going to use my crochet skills for something extremely practical that I've been meaning to do for quite a while. Let's make some cushy boot cuffs so that these don't hurt my legs anymore. Hello, welcome to Show and Tell Meg. I'm Megan and I like to make things. And if you've been around here any amount of time, you'll know that I am also a crazy bird lady. I have chickens, I have ducks, I have rabbits in my backyard. And so I am out in the yard a pretty good deal, and I'm doing things that are wet and dirty, all those kinds of fun activities that make it so that I need to wear boots. I've had several pairs of these kinds of boots. My mom bought me these chicken ones, but this is just, no offense to my mom, if you're watching this, I am not calling your gift cheap, but this is a cheap formed work boot that it's just like a rubbery material on the outside, and it has kind of a soft-ish fabric inside, it's actually a knit material that's bonded to the rubber on the inside when I really look close. It's totally comfortable to wear. Like they have support and everything in the bottom. It's mostly just a combination of this edge and the shape of my calf. I am one of those ladies who is blessed with very prominent calves. And my whole life have never been able to buy regular, tall boots because my calves were too big to zip them up. And this is something that translates into work boots as well. Like, this boot goes on and it fits me just fine in the foot. It fits me fine through here. And it's not tight here. It's just when I start walking, and if I walk for any extended period of time in these, this edge starts to rub a sore right where my calf curves. And I've honestly had it bleed before if I didn't pay attention, or if I wasn't tucking pants in and looking like an absolute dork, or having really tall socks underneath that would block any kind of friction there. It's just something that happens to me all the time. And I mean, I know this. I know that I should wear pants or I should wear tall socks, but sometimes I'm literally just throwing my boots on really quick to go and give the chickens water before I leave for work in the morning. I don't want the whole song and dance of getting ready to go out and do something dirty. I just want to be able to throw my boots on and not have to worry about my calf hurting for several days afterwards. So I had this idea of making boot cuffs. I am one that can crochet kind of most whatever I want at this point, but this is going to be incredibly simple. This is not going to be what I would call a pattern, but if you want to use it as that, that's perfectly fine. I will show you kind of tutorial style what I'm going to do. But essentially, we're going to be making a cup cozy for my boots. So this is a cup cozy that I made a video about making, gosh, over a year ago now. I'm not even sure exactly when I crocheted this. I like to make smoothies and put them in mason jars, and so this is my mason jar sized cup cozy. But this is the entire idea. So I'm going to make a tube, but it's going to be big enough to fit around the circumference of my boots, and I'm going to fold it down. And so I just need to make it where it's long enough to hold into the boot when it's folded. And I think that this will provide just enough of a cushion that I'm not going to have the problem of it rubbing sores on my calf anymore. I don't know if you can see the vision. This is not this is not big enough at all, but I'm going to do something along these kinds of lines. And actually, that's probably a pretty good length now that I really look at it. I might have to make them longer. We're going to see, because I want it to be long enough to stay, because really, realistically, as my foot moves, my leg is going to be pushing against this, and I don't want it to just pop off, because that's just one more annoying thing to have to deal with while I'm doing dirty and wet things in my yard. So I'm going to get a soft acrylic yarn so that way I can pull them off and throw them in the washing machine and wash them whenever I need to. And I'm just going to chain as many stitches as seem to be the circumference of the boot. And then I'm going to just crochet in the round until I have a decent length piece, nice little tube. And then we're going to try it on the boot and see. So let's get crocheting and see if this experiment is even going to work. is the following week, and as you have seen up until this point, I have made my boot cuffs, and they are on the boots, and I think they look really cute actually. They make it look oddly cold weatherish for Florida, but you know, that doesn't really matter. What matters is that these are functional. So I have tried them on. They do like to come off on my foot when I take my foot out of the boots, but honestly, that's something that I'm willing to deal with because when I slide the boots off, I can just take the cuff and hook it back on. So, not a huge deal. They feel very comfortable, I have to say. We're going to see if it's comfortable enough. I haven't really been able to test these out because it's been really rainy today. There is a hurricane in the Gulf. And so, being a peninsula in the middle of the ocean, we get a lot of rain anytime there's a hurricane, even if it's not near us. I think this came out really great. And this was really easy. I knocked this out in an hour ish. It did take half of a skein of Vanna's Choice. This is the cranberry colorway. I've had this skein for ages. So it's nice to use it for something, quite frankly. And I think that the color looks nice with the boots. So I am very excited next time I go muck out my duck pen to see if these really do work, like if these are comfortable. And these are going to be, like I say, I can throw these on in the morning before I leave for work when I'm, topping off everybody's water and letting the ducks out of their house and into their pen. This is what I can wear. So hopefully that does the job and makes it so that I don't end up with these pink lines on my calves. Like I have what feels like permanent lines where these boots have been rubbing, and it's just like I have to build up a callus or something. It sounds terrible. So I'm hoping that this will mitigate that issue. And so this whole project really made me think about functional crochet, or not even just crochet. If you are a knitter or a sewist or a crocheter, macrame, or anything like that, these are skills that you can use in practical ways around your house and to solve real world needs, like needing a cuff on the top of this boot. I was able to just whip one out, it took me like an hour, and now this problem was solved. I have used crochet for various household things before, curtain tie backs, or anything that needs kind of like a strap. It's really easy to get some acrylic yarn and whip up a strap out of crochet. It's just very fast. So I don't know. I try to always look at the different skills that I have and if I can apply them in a practical way to solve a problem that I have. And if I do, I jump on that chance. So while this feels like a bit of a silly project, I literally just made a whole video about making a slightly angled rectangular tube to put on my boots, but I wanted to share it just to kind of talk about that, the practicality of having these types of skills. That if you have a need and you have a skill that could possibly solve it, then why not give it a try? Interestingly, if it drives me crazy that these constantly pop off of the boots, I could actually drill holes through the boots and then sew these down if I wanted to. That does, make it more complicated to wash them later. So I want to try it without that first. But if it does become a problem, it's just a couple of snips and then a couple of stitches to put it back on once it's clean. So I don't know. It's a little more complicated than my cup cozy one. But all it is I cast on 64 stitches. I noticed that that was a bit loose. So in the first 2 rows, I did decrease, and I ended up decreasing 8 stitches in those first 2 rows. And that kind of cinched it in just enough to hold it on really well. But at the same time, it has that slightly wider brim, so it makes it easy to slide on. So it was sort of a blessing in disguise. What I thought was a mistake turned out to be a happy accident. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this kind of silly project, and I hope that it can help you think of practical uses that you can have for your skills around your house and save you some money, some time, give you a little more comfort if that's what's needed. And yeah, while I'm working on all of these other projects that are not quite done yet, it felt like a fun thing to share. So if you enjoyed this, please do give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to stick around and see more. I am always making all kinds of things. This is a very small, quick project, which I don't typically do, but I have quite a few that are in the works. And it was just one of those weeks that I just couldn't think of anything else to share. So if there is something that you would be interested in me making a video about, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to have your input. Some things are more involved, and so I haven't been able to do those lately. Some of the project videos, they take a while because I don't have unlimited knitting or sewing or crocheting time. I have to complete the project before I can show it to you. So there are things in the works, but if there are certain topics or anything that you would like me to make a video about, let me know below. I would love to get your input. So until next time, I hope that all of your practical crochet projects work out and that your legs don't have to hurt from the edges of your boots either.